Market is Europe's largest platform for all TCGs. Always find the right cards by buying and selling them across Europe with other players and collectors. Be it singles, boosters, booster boxes, or any other accessories, you name it. Card Market is the place to get them safely, securely, and readily available.
New sensation, new sensation. Yo, what's up guys? It's the new sensation, Big Annotation here, and today I'm actually going to be here on the Lookout channel, so hi to everyone, all of the Lookout viewers that may be watching. Hope you don't mind me stepping in here to do a little video. So the Lookout have actually asked me to come onto their channel and take part in their Prison Planet saga series that they're doing right now, which is where a couple of content creators like myself will be taking a look at some of the worst archetypes and leaders in the game, and those being voted on by the community, which the Lookout have done a couple of Facebook posts sort of promoting those votes as well, which have been amazing to watch take place. And we have to set out some guidelines for cards that we would like to see the Lookout design for them to then fix these archetypes or leaders in some sort of way, and then they'll be able to escape the prison planet. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the little introduction that was on this video as well. My editing skills are not up to scratch, so it wasn't great, but you know, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun. Hopefully it was you know, up to standards. So in terms of my part in this series, what I am going to be doing is I am looking over the Vegeta leader, which was voted on by the community as the worst green leader in the game, and its archetype that corresponds with it as well. And I'm going to be sort of thinking of a couple of very rough guidelines for the Lookout to then follow to for them to then design certain cards when it comes to when they're going to be designing them to help fix the archetypes. And personally, as someone who hasn't really watched any Dragon Ball, I won't be like specifically trying to keep to themes, but I know that this era of Dragon Ball with where the whole Set 15 Green Vegeta leader came out from, I do know a little bit about that because I've watched like a small amount of that, so I'll try to stick to like themes from the show where I can, but it's not all going to be thematic because I don't know enough about the show to like stick to any sort of themes. But I know what happens is like general background story. There's Goku and there's like all of the squad, Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, I'm probably forgetting some others, and then like Raditz comes down, fights them, dies. Nappa and Vegeta comes down, Vegeta kills Nappa, Vegeta dies or something. I'm not really sure what happens after that. So like loose themes that I'm aware of, so I'll be trying to stick to those when it comes to like sort of the guidelines of the cards to design. So obviously looking at this leader, the main downside of the leader in itself is the fact that first of all it doesn't draw at all. It has a very conditional hand control effect on both sides, where if it's your opponent's turn, when one of your battle cards is removed by an opponent's skill, your opponent then discards a card. So that carries over on the unawakened and the awakened side, and that's supposed to in some way make up for the lack of draw power, because the idea is obviously you're getting your opponent to discard cards where you would normally be drawing cards. But the issue behind it is that it's very reliant on your opponent removing your cards So if your opponent just leaves your board alone with any of their skills, or even if they just like attack into your board instead of using skills to KO them, then they're not receiving any negatives. And like a lot of the archetype, I know I don't really have much of the archetype up on here, I'm just going to be having the leader on the screen instead. But a lot of the archetype, there's like some 1-drop blockers that have like, maybe they draw a card or search top 5, and then when those blockers are KO'd, you can bring out the 8 versions of each of those characters from your hand, which is quite cool. So it's like the whole, I think Saiyans have like a thing where when they get close to death, they get stronger, something like that. So it's very thematic on that end. But the issue, like it's kind of very contradictory, because the idea is you want to be blocking with those blockers to then bring out the bigger guys. But if your cards are KO'd by attacks, you don't trigger your leader auto at all. So the entire archetype just kind of clashes against each other. It doesn't really have any sort of synergy in that respect. So one of the cards that I want to see the lookout design to try and help fix that issue is just kind of it's a general one here. It's just a general way to force your opponent to trigger your leader auto, like periodically, whether it be every turn or every other turn, something like that. But a way where your opponent has to commit to an action, or like a way that changes the game state. And I'll give a couple of examples just to kind of clarify what I mean. But a way to force your auto on your leader to trigger, so that you would be discarding a card from your opponent's hand every turn or every so often, guaranteed. So like a couple of examples that I thought of was like a card that goes to your opponent's board that periodically KOs cards, or like just a permanent effect that stays on the field, whether it be a field card or a battle card or whatever, that means so that if a battle card is KO'd by an attack, it's treated as being KO'd by a skill for your leader, so that it like works with the blockers in the deck as well. But that kind of thing, like just a way to force your auto to trigger, so that it's triggering every turn, so that you're actually getting uses out of it, rather than your opponent just being able to play around it the whole game. That's the kind of thing I'd want to see the lookout design. And then another one, this is kind of a pair, so similar to the whole Fated Rivals thing, how we've got Goku and Piccolo, and you play Goku, and then you're able to play the Piccolo at a reduced cost, and they have great synergy together, and it's a very strong combination for green. A specific pair that I would like to see designed for this leader and this deck would be a Nappa card that just does something when it dies. Doesn't matter what it does, as long as it does something when it dies. And then a Vegeta card that kills a Nappa to gain a buff or play itself at a reduced cost, that kind of thing. So I know in the anime there is that scene where Nappa is fighting somebody from Goku's team, and he's like not necessarily losing, but he's not winning hard enough for Vegeta to be like happy with it, and so Vegeta just kills him, and that's in my opinion, that sounds like a very funny thing to watch. So I wanted to create something that would capture that theme of it's a very entertaining scene, I'd imagine. So I wanted to create like a couple of cards to capture that. And so I would definitely like to see the lookout design either like a Nappa card that does something when it dies, and then a Vegeta card that kills the Nappa to like power itself up in some way, so that you have a bit of synergy there. And because also something that I noticed when looking through the archetype of this deck is there is one Nappa card, and it's a 2-drop crit guy that when it's played your opponent discards one, and I felt like that was very lackluster, considering the whole archetype is meant to be like around Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa. And they're like the 3 guys that come down and invade Earth. If Nappa's only got 1 card, and to be honest, it's shit, we need something more, and we need something more thematic than that. So I thought that those 2 card designs would go very nicely together, and I'm very excited to see what the lookout comes up with. And then the last thing that I wanted to go for, I was kind of considering just saying like a Z leader, but I do feel like a Z leader can be kind of a big and a very easy cop-out for making bad leaders good. And like you look at the Set 2 Vegeta leader, whilst maybe it's not the worst leader in the world initially, but they gave it a very generic Z leader that you can kind of go into anytime you want, and as soon as you're awakened, you can go into it just for 1 red energy, 1 Z energy, and like the deck is instantly miles better. So I do feel like designing a Z leader, whilst it is a very, very good way to reboot an archetype or revive an archetype, I do feel like in this kind of case it is a very easy cop-out, so I did want to make it a little bit more challenging for the guys on the lookout, and I tried to stay away from the whole idea of making a Z leader. So what I've gone for instead is a Z battle card, so it's still going to be accessible at all times throughout the game, just any sort of Z battle card, but I would like it specifically to be a consistency piece. Whether that is helping you awaken earlier or helping you find certain cards in the deck, anything like that. But I did really have in mind for this one specifically, again, around that set 2 Vegito style, but the Z battle card that they have in there, where it can filter for your Vegetos and it can help you awaken earlier. I thought that kind of thing for this leader would be very good, so I am very excited to see where the lookout takes that. As long as it is a Z battle card and it in some way makes the deck or the archetype flow a bit more consistently and helps you just be a bit more consistent in the game, then that is all I ask for. So I would like to first of all thank the Lookout for having me on the channel and letting me take part in this series. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'm very excited to see what the Lookout is able to do with set 15 Vegeta Destined Confrontation. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.